I'm Downs, Brian Downs, the host of Pro Sex Studios, and in this episode we're going to be taking a look at Casino Royale, the 2006 James Bond film where Daniel Craig first stepped into the role. What do I do on this channel? I talk about attitudes about sex as presented in popular films. So let's see what 007 has to tell us. A lot of surprising stuff. First of all, there's very, very little sex in this film. It's actually 19 minutes into the film before we get any suggestion of sexuality at all. There's been various dashings about and schemes and so on, and we've been introduced to our villain, Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen, who's, great, a terrific actor. He is banker to the world's terrorists, a white-collar facilitator. He's a mathematical genius and he likes to play poker, and he's playing poker on his yacht in some beautiful harbor somewhere. And we're introduced to this scene where Valenka climbs out of the ocean and on board the yacht. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman, played by Ivana Milicevic. She climbs onto the yacht. She doesn't speak to anybody. She climbs onto the yacht and she walks through the room in her bathing suit, and she's gorgeous. And this is interesting. Who is she? We don't know. She's a beautiful woman on the yacht. That's it. We, the audience, are meant to assume that she is Le Chiffre's lover, girlfriend, mistress, whatever the case may be, wife, maybe. She doesn't say that. She doesn't say anything. She just walks through the scene looking beautiful. So while she's gorgeous, we don't see any sexuality between her and Le Chiffre. They don't even speak. He barely looks at her. Certainly they don't embrace or anything. He doesn't say, oh, by the way, meet my wife, my girlfriend. Any word that implies a sexual relationship doesn't happen. So the movie is pushing sex off stage, as tends to happen in these entertainments. This is a little bit unusual because very often what these movies do is it's villains who sex. The movie tells you that you can tell who the villains are because they are people who have sex lives, who enjoy sex, who seek sex, who are good at getting sex. Very often the fact of their having sex is what makes them the villain because, they're cheating on their boyfriend or something. So it's 30 minutes into the film when we're introduced to the next great beauty, Solange. Solange is married to Alex Dimitrios, who is an arms dealer. They live in a mansion in the Bahamas. Alex Dimitrios is a first-class dick, and their marriage is unhappy. James Bond is in the Bahamas, spying on Alex Dimitrios because, that's what James Bond does, spies on bad guys. So Bond is hanging around on the beach outside the Bahamian mansion in order to get a look at things, pretending to be just a tourist among other beachgoers. And he and Solange take a look at each other. Solange rides in on a white horse in a bikini. Solange is played by Caterina Marino, extraordinarily beautiful actress, beautiful character. And these two very good-looking people give each other the up and down. But, of course, her arms dealer husband is visible on the balcony above, and Bond has got his secret agenda. And, spoiler alert, as the kids say, Solange is going to die. So is Alex, by the way. This is one of the negative memes. I've discovered 12 negative memes that are repeated over and over again in these movies in an absolutely organized campaign designed to make you, the audience, feel terrible about your sexuality with this repeated negative message that sex is dumb and evil and stupid and only for bad people. Bond winds up beating her husband at a poker game that night, and then he makes a pass at Solange because he wants to get close to her in order to learn about her villain husband. Solange is pretty easily seduced, and they wind up in Bond's bungalow rolling around on the floor together making out. That's 37 minutes, 30 seconds into the film. But as soon as Bond learns that her husband has suddenly boarded a flight to Miami, Bond walks out of the scene, right? She gets up and walks into the bedroom carrying her high heels, I believe, just looking absolutely gorgeous, hair tousled, beautiful dress. She's going into the bedroom in full expectation of getting laid by James Bond, but Bond walks out the front door because he's got to go chase the villain. He's got to go do his duty for Queen and country. Now, if he had not learned that information about Alex's trip to Miami just then, who knows what duty to Queen and country might have called upon him to do. But life is unpredictable. He's off to Miami. That's the last we see of her, making out with James Bond and then sashaying into the bedroom in order to have a sexual encounter that she's clearly looking forward to. Bond leaves. This is the negative meme, serious people don't sex. Heroes, people with responsibilities, whether it's one of the Avengers or whether it's a dad in a small town just trying to make ends meet for his kids, don't have sex lives because they're heroes. Good people don't have sex lives. They might have spouses, but they don't have sex lives. This is Bond not having sex to go do his duty. Serious people don't sex. If you want to be a hero, you'd better be celibate too. This is also the wanting disaster because Bond is going to go off and interfere in all these criminal schemes and kill Alex Dimitrios. And as a result, Solange will die because her husband's villainous colleagues, including Le Chiffre, will figure out that someone must have leaked information about their operation, and they will come back and torture and murder her. The movie doesn't say that she was sexually assaulted, but you find her almost naked body wrapped up in a rope hammock staring lifelessly into the dirt in the next scene where she appears. This is the wanting disaster. This is negative meme number one. Solange was in what we assume is a sexual relationship with Alex Dimitrios. They were married. Her sexual relationship with Dimitrios leads her into this shadowy world of intrigue and terrorist plots, which leads her into an encounter with James Bond, which was going to be a sexual encounter. Certainly they did a lot of making out. It was a sexual encounter, without penetration anyway. And then she's dead. By the way, there's a comment section. Please use it. Love to have comments. If you agree with me, that, validates my ego. If you disagree with me, I love that too. Really, very little more I love than being disagreed with. Like, subscribe, share on social media. Huge help to the channel. So, Bond has gone and foiled the terrorist plot in Miami. The point of the plot was to manipulate the stock market. They were going to blow up a brand new airliner and in this way tank the company's stock. Le Chiffre had shorted the stock. He could make money with this sudden change in the company's fortunes, but it didn't happen because of Bond's heroics. So now Le Chiffre has lost 109 million or something of his clients' money. He was playing the stock market with their money and he lost it, and his clients are the world's terrorists. So if these people figure out that Le Chiffre has lost their money, they're going to put him in a blender. Le Chiffre, trying to climb out of this hole, decides to organize a high-stakes poker game in Casino Royale in Montenegro, where he's going to win $100 and some million back, and then no harm, no foul. His clients will never know the difference. So, MI6's plan is to send Bond in to play in the game, beat Le Chiffre, and then force the bankrupted Le Chiffre into a position where he can either accept MI6's protection in exchange for singing a detailed song about his clients, or he can be pureed by his clients. Off Bond goes to Montenegro, and he's on the train when Eva Green, terrific actress, Penny Dreadful all the way, 6 seasons in a movie, struts in as Vesper Lind, a British Treasury agent who is in charge of the money. Bond has to have many millions of dollars to play in this game, and the British government's supplying it, and Eva Green is here to oversee it. Absolutely zero reason for her to be physically present on this mission. There's no reason for her to be in the room. She could handle all of this with reports from Bond. She is not a field agent. She has not been trained as a field agent, but she's there because she's gorgeous, and this is a James Bond movie. She could absolutely be in London Skyping with James Bond. But here she is. Guess what? She's gonna die too. However, her first presentation is she's a serious person. I'm the money, she says. She's very concerned that this money not be lost in the card game to these terrorists. And she doesn't like Bond. She regards Bond as a jock, jerk-off player. Which means, of course, that they will fall in love. She never mentions any sex life. No past relationship, no current relationship, in spite of being a treasury agent, we assume making a pretty good living in spite of being in her late 20s perhaps, or early 30s, in spite of being remarkably gorgeous. Doesn't matter. No sex life of any kind that she mentions. Doesn't mention a past one. Isn't in a relationship. Doesn't mention any desire to be in a relationship. And doesn't like Bond. This is, again, negative meme number 4, serious people don't sex. It's about an hour and 17 minutes into the film that the action has gotten started in Montenegro at the casino. But Le Chiffre is called away from the card table by a summons from Valenka. You remember Valenka, who was getting on the yacht earlier. She's still gorgeous, and she is up in what is apparently their suite. Le Chiffre takes a break from the card game, goes up to the room, comes in saying, okay, what is it? What is so important? He is annoyed to have been called away. Valenka kisses him. She's waiting for him on the balcony. He comes through, gorgeous room, gorgeous night, extraordinary woman. She kisses him. Only time we see any kind of sexuality between these two. And then she says, I'm sorry. And bam! Stephen Albano and one of his henchmen pop out of the shadows. Stephen Albano is an African warlord who was one of Le Chiffre's clients, and he's noticed that his money isn't where he left it, and he's pretty pissed. And he's brought at least one machete to make his point. So, when your, I guess, girlfriend summons you to your luxury hotel suite and you go up there and she's waiting for you on the balcony and lays a big kiss on you, pow, bad result. That's the wanting disaster. Wanting sex, trying to have sex, having sex leads to a bad result. In this case, instantly. And the bad result is a pretty clear-cut bad result. A razor-sharp bad result, really. This is also the negative meme, sex is danger. Dangerous scenes are often presented as sexy, and sexy scenes are often presented as dangerous, either in an enticing way or even in a repulsive way, that sex is weird and dangerous and off-putting. In any case, this is one of the enticing scenes. Beautiful woman waiting there, come kiss me, bang. She has been forced into luring Le Chiffre into this ambush. Albano makes his point to Le Chiffre that he really wants his money back, and then as he's leaving, he bumps into James Bond, and Bond kills Albano and his henchmen. Moving on, Bond wins the poker game, and Le Chiffre will shortly be accepting the hospitality of the CIA, who are allied with the British in this endeavor. Bond and Lind have dinner, and Lind has always worn this particular pendant, and Bond says to her, that's an Algerian love knot. I figured out what that is, and I think someone gave it to you, someone important to you. And Lind kind of puts him off. But this is a reference to Lind's boyfriend, because we will find out that Lind has a boyfriend who has been kidnapped by the organization behind Le Chiffre, which is Spectre, Bond's ancient enemy, if you're familiar with the mythology, but this movie doesn't make that explicitly clear. And therefore Spectre is leveraging Lind, forcing her to act as their agent. Bond doesn't know any of this yet. How did Lind find herself in this very difficult situation that will, in fact, cause her to die in terror and pain? She had sex. That's the wanting disaster. And in fact, about 2 minutes later, we discover that Le Chiffre has decided he doesn't want the CIA's protection. Instead, he's just going to kidnap Vesper Lind. Bam, she's kidnapped. Now, he uses that to kidnap Bond, who runs to rescue Vesper, suffers a ludicrous car crash, which he somehow survives. Now Bond is also Le Chiffre's captive. Bond just won all this money in the poker game, and Le Chiffre is going to torture one or both of them until they give up the necessary passcodes for Le Chiffre to take the money from them, and then Le Chiffre will be able to satisfy his clients. This leads to Le Chiffre beating Bond in the balls with a rope lash. In the nuts. Daniel Craig, ripped and cut and terrifically fit, is, strapped to this chair, and another very handsome man is beating him with a lash. This is clearly BDSM, dangerous sex, homoerotic BDSM, dangerous sex. Sex is danger, and leads to this sexualized situation leads to Bond being badly injured. However, Le Chiffre gets killed because Spectre is tired of his shenanigans, playing shell games with other people's money, so they send one of their guys in and kill Le Chiffre. And Hooray, happy ending. Bond winds up recovering in hospital where Vesper decides that she's in love with him. Who wouldn't? I would like Vesper Lynd to decide she's in love with me. They start a sexual relationship just as soon as Bond's balls have recovered from the ball beating. And it's clear that they're in a sexual relationship, kind of, PG-13 one, a lot of energetic making out. Bond decides to resign from the espionage business, and they go floating around Europe on a yacht for a month. I'm not sure who's paying for that yacht. Anyway, there it is. Jump to a scene where they are in bed in Italy, in a hotel in Italy. Beautiful, everything's gorgeous, Vesper's gorgeous, Bond's making out with her, and Vesper's like, no, get off me, I have to stop, I have to go run errands, I have to go to the bank. And Vesper leaves, and this is where she's stealing the money. She's going to steal the 120 million. Spectre has forced her into it. Bond discovers this at the last moment. He gets a notification from M. Oh, let me say about M. One moment. Sidetrack. Judi Dench, best M. All there is to it. Ralph Fiennes, very good. Judi Dench, better. But notice that Judi Dench is, even in this movie that came out 15 years ago, already had gray hair and was clearly 20 years older than Bond and not sexualized in any way. The new M is female, but in magnificent performance, legendary performer. But clearly their relationship is not a sexual relationship. They didn't cast, anyone who might be thought of as a sexual partner for Bond in that role. That's deliberate. So, anyway, back to Italy. Vesper's off to steal the money and undertake the necessary transactions. Bond chases her down, believing he's been coldly betrayed by his lover and thinking he's going to have to kill her and seeming to look forward to it in the face of this betrayal. Bond runs into a bunch of bad guys, Spectre agents, big shootout, and Bond gets to watch Vesper die. She drowns, trapped in an elevator that winds up in a canal. They're in Venice, so a lot of canals around. She essentially kills herself. She doesn't allow herself to be captured because this is the only way out of this this dilemma regarding her kidnapped boyfriend and Bond and the money and all that. Bond gets to watch his lover die in terror and horror because they had sex. This is the wanting disaster. They had a sexual relationship. Vesper dies. Bond is heartbroken. So, in summary, Bond makes out with Solange. Solange dies. Bond falls in love with Vesper, and they have a passionate, romantic, sexual relationship. And then Vesper dies under terrible, heartbreaking conditions. Bond is shattered and will remain shattered for several movies to come. This is one of the themes, that the death of Vesper Lynd has broken Bond's heart. Every sexual relationship winds up with a bad result. People are dead, people are drowning, people are tortured and murdered, and maybe kind of raped, but the movie doesn't go that far with Solange. Bad. The wanting disaster. Sex is danger. Bad things happen to people who have sex. That's the message of Casino Royale. And Bond, by the way, isn't that much of a playboy in this movie. Of course, the Bond character, and in earlier films, maybe things were different. There's been a lot of Bond films over many decades. But with Craig here, he makes out with Solange, gets the information and leaves, and then has a very sincere love affair with Vesper. They love each other. So Bond is not that busy a guy. In some later Craig movies, he becomes a little more of the playboy, but a lot less, I think, than people realize. Generally, of course, sex is death. So, I'd love to hear what you think of all of that. That's what the comment section is for. Please use it. Also, like, subscribe, share, spread it around. Other people will use the comment section if you don't want to. I do one of these every week. Tune in next week to see what else is happening. I appreciate your time.